Welcome, welcome. Another Thursday. It's been 1 week. 1 week since the launch date of Chrysalis, since we basically brought a complete new IOTA to the world. And it's kind of crazy, right? It already feels like such a long time, and it's always been like this, right? It's only been like a week. And it's pretty amazing to see how it all unfolded. You know, this is like something that you planned for months, and you're like, this is the big thing. Like, this is really what we've worked on for over a year. This is what all of you have been really excited about, right? To remove all of the bad things about IOTA, to add all of the exciting parts, and to basically have a pathway to a really, really exciting future. That is exactly what we wanted to achieve with the upgrade, right? Launch Firefly, new libraries, new modules, and deploy B, Hornet, and make it possible for all of you to participate in this new network. So it's quite beautiful how it all unfolded, right? There was no mistakes, there was no errors. It all went pretty smoothly, like a rocket takeoff, where everything goes according to plan. So that's an amazing feeling, I must say. So congratulations to the team. Again, congratulations to the community as well. This was all made possible with the help of all of you, right? So I think that's really, really amazing to see how far we've come. What we are doing right now. So let's maybe take a step back and let's think about where we stand at the moment. And let me actually share my screen again. So if you guys remember, this was basically an important graphic that I leaked from our internal team. If you look at this more closely, this is really what defines our strategy for this year when it comes to the IOTA core protocol. Our strategy, our primary objective for this year is to make IOTA as a protocol production ready. We have great ambitions with the machine economy. We want to conquer the Internet of Things. We want to see IOTA run on the Internet of Things, really improve it, and enable new business models. We want to see machines to transact with each other, and we want to have IOTA be the backbone of all of that. And our big objective for this year is to make the IOTA base layer, right, sort of the digital infrastructure, or the layer 0, so to say, production ready. And what does production ready really mean, right? On the adoption side, it means that you can reliably run your business model on top of the layer, on top of the technology. And you, first of all, know in a very predictable manner how many transactions you can do, and what it actually enables you to do, right? And also how much it's going to cost you. When it comes to IOTA, the first two are very clear. No transaction fees, which is like a killer feature. And obviously, the primary use cases that we focus on with the base ledger are machine-to-machine payments, fee-less machine-to-machine payments, and data security. And based on top of that, you then have all of these amazing use cases and frameworks that we're going to talk about. The main thing that we have to make sure of then is like the scalability of the net ledger itself, and obviously making sure that the ledger meets certain criteria. Now, when it comes to IOTA with Chrysalis, as we discussed with Jakub last week, nothing remained the same. It's quicker to summarize all the points of what didn't change, right, than the points of what changed. Because like the IOTA protocol of today, like what is currently running live on the network, is a complete new network, is a complete new implementation, a complete new interpretation of how the Tangle should look like. If you guys remember, if you guys have ever read the Tangle white paper, basically defines a very generic framework for a DAC architecture, right? For the novel part about the Tangle white paper was really arguing that the distributed ledger can be built on a DAC, right? Directed acyclic graph. And the first IOTA implementation was a sort of interpretation of how that DAC architecture should look like. right? You go from research into engineering towards the implementation. Now in 2021, we have the best possible implementation and the best possible interpretation of how the panel should look like from the engineering perspective. And the only last remaining thing at this point is to really move forward by removing the coordinator, by having a complete new interpretation of the tangle concept itself, right? And I think that's sort of an amazing thing to think about, because it just shows you this clarity in our approach to adoption. We're not chasing higher blocks per second. We're not chasing increased block space, block rewards and stuff like that. We're not fine-tuning on that level. We're like fundamentally introducing new concepts. And with that, we are arguing that we are on our path towards production readiness. And we are also arguing that this is what the industry and this is what the ecosystem wants from an adoption perspective. IOTA today with Chrysalis is something that you can really build on reliably. You can build on it. You know that you can read the documentation. You can easily start building your application. And you know that from today, right, the Chrysalis version of IOTA towards core site, not much is going to change, and there's not going to be any serious breaking changes in that regard. But to quickly summarize the major points of the Chrysalis upgrade. And just so you know, we are preparing another sort of series or short videos to also make it simpler to understand and also make it more tangible what has all been changed. Because when it comes to Chrysalis, this is basically everything that has been changed, right? From the infrastructure perspective, libraries, node software wallets, right? We have Firefly, everything is new. And that's really amazing. And what's new is how the protocol is implemented. And the major, I would say one of the most important and one of the most sought after features was to use eDDSA compared to Wintonet's one-time signatures, right? Now we have reusable addresses, and it's a very much lighter cryptography, which also means that the transaction sizes in IOTA now are about 12 times smaller than previously. So it's about 100 bytes compared to like 1.2 kilobytes of transactions, right? And that just shows you how we are really targeted towards IoT with this upgrade. The next very, very important feature is actually UTXO, right? Unspent transaction outputs. This is something that is really going to enable these new exciting use cases that all of you are really excited about, like digital assets, NFTs, and smart contracts, because they need some way to mutate and some way to actually color transactions and color tokens, so that you can do digital assets, and so that you can also define how these digital assets can be spent and how they can be transferred, minted, or burned, right? All of that can be done through a UTXO structure for the transactions. And one thing that's sort of, and by the way, atomic transactions is part of that. Atomic transactions is basically moving away from bundles, which you've had previously, towards a much simpler interpretation of the transaction model, right, of the transfer model. And all of this, what's very exciting is that all of this is also currently implemented in Go Shimmer. So Go Shimmer and IOTA with Chrysalis have sort of the same transaction structure. It means that all of those interesting innovations that are currently being tested and built on Go Shimmer will eventually make their way into IOTA. And this is what we're going to talk about afterwards when it comes to digital assets and to smart contracts, because that is currently implemented on Go Shimmer and eventually will move to the IOTA mainnet as well. And the last remaining thing that's really, really important about the Chrysalis upgrade is moving away from trinary towards binary. overall, the way that I would summarize this upgrade is that core focus was to focus on usability, making it easier for all of you to utilize IOTA. Core focus has been on developability, if that's even a word, by the way. It's kind of, is there like a better word than developability? Easy to build on. But really, developers are our most important target audience, whether it's exchanges, whether it's large companies, whether it's independent developers. It should be very easy, very reliable to build on IOTA. And that's really one of the things that we've been focusing on with Chrysalis. And the other major focus has been on optimization. There's different ways to implement things, and there's more optimized algorithms that we have really implemented into Chrysalis to deliver you the best version of IOTA possible today, minus the coordinator. The last remaining thing at the moment when it comes to layer one is to remove the coordinator. And just to take a step back, right? That's a very comfortable and it's a very good position to be in. Even though some other protocols might be ahead of us right now because they have dApps that were already built on them, they have DAXs, they have fancy staking and liquidity pools. All of that is going to be possible in IOTA as well. But what we are focused on is really making sure that the layer 0, the IOTA layer, is the best possible version, right? So that you can reliably build on top of it. And through that, you can also reliably build an entire ecosystem. And already right now, we can start focusing on ecosystem building, getting applications, getting marketplaces built, getting dApps built. But at the moment, we should really appreciate the sort of position that we are in. Because doing an upgrade like this is not simple. There's been like 40 or 50 people that were involved just in the development, and even more on all the other layers. And it was a big success. Nothing went wrong. And you can even watch it live, right? So right now, I think we're doing 45 transactions per second. And you can actually, I can really highly recommend all of you who've never done this to go to the visualizer, because it's just so mesmerizing to look at. Here. So this is like the Tangle in real time. I think when it comes to one of our best marketing tools to explain how amazing IOTA is, this is definitely it. Which is like you immediately understand what the DAG actually is and what it means. There's no longer a blockchain. There's no blocks. There's no chain. It's really happening in real time. And then like take this to the next level, right? Think about all the transactions that are happening here. Like there's potentially millions of dollars that are being settled by the IOTA network just in this image, right? Machines are transacting in real time right now, and we are able to watch it unfold. It's just amazing. Yeah, it's like a worm that is growing. Yeah, it's really fascinating. By the way, quick off topic, one of the exciting books that I'm reading right now, and this is a book that Dan also showed me, it's called What Technology Wants. Let me show you an image. Oh, wait. This book here. I can really highly recommend all of you to read this book as well. It basically talks about the evolution, right? Nature, how it evolved over millions of years, and how technology is really just an extension of nature. And technology imitates nature in many different ways, right? We have these evolutionary cycles of every technology, and they argue that every kind of possibility of different formations of technology have been tried out, are going to be tried out, and they're going to branch out, and ultimately it's about survival, right? Survival of the fittest, and that just really gives you this resemblance of IOTA and blockchain as well, because basically the argument of the book is about those improbable possibilities, right? And even though it's unlikely to happen, it is eventually going to happen because of evolution, because of the time that is being invested into new variations, new mutations. So blockchain and the tangle was actually inevitable, right? It was an improbable inevitability. It had to happen because that is simply the way nature is programmed. And it's just such an amazing thought to think about. And that we are really part of nature evolving itself, because like so far, I think also many of you might have perceived technology as something external, right? Something that is not part of nature, because it's not organic matter per se. But if you start thinking about it more as an extension of life, and us being part of this cycle of nature, even though we are building it, right? We are building it, we're part of it. It's a pretty amazing thought about that, you know? And it just shows you how amazing life is. So yeah, I can highly recommend all of you to read that book, What Technology Wants. I still have to finish 100 pages of it, so maybe I'll try to write a summary or some thoughts about that. But it's a pretty amazing thought, and amazing perspective on all of the things that we are doing right now. And that also means, right, technology is there to solve problems, even though sometimes things can feel depressive, even though we might seem down that the world is going to end. There's these improbable inevitabilities that are going to solve these very difficult challenges for us. Like, that's why we oftentimes talk about breakthroughs, right? And even though we think that they're breakthroughs, they're very inevitable because of all the different minds that were put on it, because all of the different research, all the different work that happened before it, right? For technology like IOTA, for blockchain to work, there were all of these different puzzle pieces that had to be ready first, right? For it to actually be invented. Same is true with IOTA, and same is true with future technologies. And exactly because of that, I think what we are doing as a whole with the crypto space, building everything open source, making it free to utilize, is exactly the way that we should, the way that we can actually build our future. Because only by having it open source, free to utilize, we can make sure that others can start to build on top of it, can start to improve it, and can start to benefit from it. And I think that's really amazing to see how we are just really part of this process of nature. And yeah, I think we should have some more discussions about this in the community as well. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, so let's take a step back. IOTA 1.5, even though I hate 1.5 because it kind of makes it seem like this intermediary step is less important, right? It's a complete new implementation of IOTA, and the best possible interpretation and implementation of the tangle, right? Primary objective, make IOTA as this base layer production ready this year. Now, when it comes to our objectives, the IOTA mainnet right now runs stable. There's probably not going to be much investment being made into Bee and Hornet anymore, maybe some maintenance, but all of our focus right now will be on the tooling, which will basically be applied to Chrysalis, and most importantly, on the node implementation itself. So the Go Shimmer team at the moment, maybe I can pull up the repo. Go here. So the Go Shimmer team is pretty much working 24/7 right now to implement the fully decentralized version of IOTA. So you can perceive this as a sort of research prototype. And right now we are in the Nectar phase of Go Shimmer. And at the moment, the team is preparing, we're in the pollen phase. And at the moment, the team is preparing for the Nectar phase. And what Nectar means is that all of the most important components of Chrysalis have been implemented in the implementation. And that is exactly what we then define as this Nectar phase, where we can move from a sort of research network towards an incentivized testnet. Because only through that we can really make sure that all of you, first of all, are able to participate. And second of all, that with all the components combined, that we can thoroughly test the implementation and make sure that it is ready for the actual core design. If you think about core design, we sometimes use the event itself, which is to remove the coordinator on the IOTA mainnet. We use that term interchangeably with the implementation itself. But implementation itself is obviously FPC and the variations of it. But right now we're preparing for Nectar, and there's a post here, right? Nectar is our next step, and it's a couple of weeks away. We don't want to give dates yet, because we're still working on the wallet as well, right? There's going to be a new wallet so that you guys can easily download something and you can transact, you can mint tokens, and you can also deploy nodes, obviously. But what's most important is really that our team is now starting to refocus and to regroup, to figure out how we can really accelerate all of this and how we can start building all of these things here, right? Digital assets, smart contracts, and also Firefly. How we can add some nice new features into that. But yeah, I think the roadmap in and of itself and where we're heading with IOTA is pretty clear, right? This year, our primary objective is to make the core protocol, the base layer, production ready. Because if you think about how IOTA compares to other distributed ledgers, IOTA itself is our competitive advantage. We are working on standardizing the protocol, but what's really exciting about IOTA is that it is going to be one of the most scalable and one of the most decentralized networks once we have core design implemented. It's a leaderless consensus protocol. And our competitive advantage with IOTA is its fee-less architecture. Somebody in the community gave this beautiful comparison that having fee-based protocols is like sending regular mail, and having a fee-less protocol is like doing emails, right? You can do it for free. You can spin up your own node, your own server, and then you can start to transact within the network. And that's exactly what IOTA is. And it will massively reduce entry barriers. And with IOTA, we have this competitive advantage to then take on other bigger players in the market. When I look at IOTA, I only compare IOTA to the Ethereums, to the Cardanos, and to the Polkadots of the world, because they are of our size and they are also of our ambitions. And I definitely think that with what we are working on right now, that we are able to play in that league, because we had to do some catching up with making sure that the core protocol is done properly, that our peer-reviewed research is accepted sort of and implemented, obviously. And now we are in the position to start to expand and to focus on those bigger targets. And yeah, I think that's pretty exciting in that regard. What's really also interesting is just to see how the community started to participate in the network. There was a bunch of people that already started to spin up nodes and brag about it. And that's really great to see all of you participate. Setting up your own node is like the most, I would say, empowering thing you can do in a distributed ledger, because you can basically transact yourself. You're verifying transactions. You're participating in the consensus, and that's really amazing to do. So I can really encourage it to all of you to spin up your own node and to try it out. Maybe something else about Firefly and the Ledger Nano support. This is hugely important for the community and for us. Charlie was good enough to give a summary of it. And essentially, the Ledger Nano app itself, right, that runs on the device, is already implemented and approved and reviewed by Ledger itself. And right now, the main focus is to make the migration work for the Ledger migration, right? We are going to start testing soon. So if you want to participate in the testing, make sure to join the X team. I think there's some big group of people already, but it would be great to get more people to join as well. And our objective is to release the Ledger version, the Ledger support in May. So this month, you guys will be able to migrate with the Ledger Nano S. I think that's good. Maybe because we're already talking about X teams, something else that's really fascinating. I think exactly a year ago, we launched this X Teams initiative. And the goal of this IOTA experience team was really to sort of integrate the IOTA community more into our development processes. Because what we realized is what we don't want to do is to work weeks, months on a sort of implementation, right? With a new update, a new version, then release it to the community and only then to start get feedback for it from the community. Maybe something is wrong, maybe something was not taken into consideration, maybe something could have been done better, right? Exactly because of that, we launched the X teams to integrate dedicated community members really closely into our development process and to also help us assist in testing, in writing documentation, writing examples, and also in doing sort of a peer review for some of the work that we're doing. So we launched it over a year ago, and we can really say that it's been a huge success because it's been really great to see the activity of our community, right? Everybody has really been focused on helping out. You can see this in all of these different initiatives where we have very active community members trying to improve our code, trying to improve usability, and trying to make sure that what we ship is the best version and is adoptable by the broader community. So I think in total there's so we have an X Teams for the B experience team, right? They were testing B when it was in beta and still is in beta. Client libraries, Go Shimmer, which is pretty active. I think Go Shimmer is probably the most active one. IOTA Access, IOTA Identity, Smart Contracts, Streams, Permanent, Stronghold, and Simplify. So we have 10 X Teams right now. And there must be a few dozen people from the community who are actively participating. I think we're doing like weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings. We also set up goals and do proper issue tracking and stuff like that. So Antonio has done an amazing job in running the X team. So great job, Antonio, from the community team. Has really done an amazing job in turning this into such a success. And our team loves it. We love working with the community. I think there's no greater feeling than working on something and seeing it being appreciated by the community, where they say like, oh, wow, this massively reduces the RAM usage, or wow, this is like so amazing in terms of scalability and usability. And just getting this immediate feedback has been super helpful, and it really helped us to develop our solutions so much better. And we just really want to thank everybody who participated in it and who made this a possibility. And if you guys want to participate in it, I think there's always available slots to join. So please make sure to apply to it. Oh, here you can see Antonio. Right? Make sure to apply to it. There's like an IOTA experience team on GitHub. It's just under IOTA community. And that also has more details about how you can contribute to it and how you can join. So yeah, That's cool. Talking about governance, very exciting topic. I think when it comes to every distributed ledger, the ultimate goal is for the community and for the ecosystem itself to sort of govern itself, to be empowered to make decisions, and to have the ability to make decisions. Because oftentimes, even though you can make decisions, it doesn't necessarily mean that those decisions are enforced. And what's beautiful about distributed ledgers is that you can actually make these decisions enforceable through smart contracts, right? If a vote happens, something else should happen immediately, with nobody being able to interfere, with nobody being able to veto it, and with the community being fully empowered to make these decisions. You guys might remember that last week we also launched the upcoming governance vote for the IOTA Community Treasury, and also with the IOTA AS fork. I think tomorrow we're going to launch a more simple blog post that explains these things in a sort of FAQ, so that you guys can also understand it better. And I just wanted to show you guys today where we are heading, and also an exciting blog post that I saw just yesterday about community governance. The more I dive into some of these other ecosystems like Polkadot and Ethereum, the more excited it gets me about what we are able to build together. And I can really highly encourage all of you to check out this blog post. I think I retweeted it. And what I want to encourage all of you is to, especially those that really believe in IOTA and that really want to participate, or that are really participating in the community, I think over the next few weeks, we need to have some healthy debates about community governance, pros, cons, how to actually do it, because it's easy to say we want governance. It's kind of a different story to actually implement it in code. How to do the vote, right? There's different ways. Should every token holder be able to vote? Should only certain token holders be able to vote? And so on and so forth. And what I would want to do is that we start to have these discussions more on Discord, and maybe in a couple of weeks, we have some people within the community that want to come on this show, right? Come on to the IOTA Talk, so that we can hold some interesting debates. The IOTA Talks are there to give updates, like we're doing today, but I think they're really there more to give insights and to give perspective. Because sometimes it's easy for us to be excited because we have all of this knowledge and we know what's happening, but most of you don't have, or like pretty much everybody doesn't have this knowledge that we have. And so it's all sometimes also based on blind belief, which I can totally understand. But the show is really about giving insight and perspective. And I think on such an important topic like the governance vote, I think it's very important that we bring voices within the community onto the show so that we can hold debates, that we can hold discussions about the governance structure, about the pros, the cons. Should we burn the tokens? Should we set up the community treasury, right? The IOTA community should decide about that, and we need to start laying out the facts and the pros and the cons and those open debates. So if you are interested in joining the IOTA Talks, and if you really want to engage in this debate, sort of, just maybe we set up like a channel on Discord. Maybe we call it like decentralized governance or something, where we can hold these discussions, and then in a couple of weeks we should do it live on this show. So I think that's going to be fun. Yeah. Next up is Nectar. What we're doing right now with Chrysalis is we're still giving some more updates in terms of like, why is this the best version of IOTA? I think it's important that all of you understand this as well, and so we're doing that. But our primary focus at the moment is launching Nectar in a couple of weeks. Like I said before, What's exciting about Nectar is that actually it uses the same structure for the transactions, right? UTXO as the IOTA protocol does. And what we announced a couple of weeks or months ago at this point is our digital assets framework. Let me actually try and find it. Our digital assets framework, which enables tokenization on IOTA. And with the Nectar release in a couple of weeks, tokenization is also going to be enabled. And that is really damn interesting, because Nectar is this incentivized testnet where, first and foremost, it's about making sure that the implementation is well, that everything is properly implemented, and that we have this natural evolution, i.e. continuous development towards core decide. But it's also really there for us to try out those new exciting concepts like digital assets, because they are really a crucial component for our future. Because we believe in digital assets, we believe in this vision, this future of tokenization, and we believe that is really a key component and crucial for the machine economy. We're talking about digital twins. We're talking about digitizing the physical world. We're talking about IOTA being a digital infrastructure layer. So of course, tokenization is key to us, and of course, it's important for us to also enable all of you to leverage this functionality. So with the launch of the Nectar network in a couple of weeks, we're also going to have tokenization live with it. So what we're doing at the moment is we're also implementing it in the wallet, so that you guys will be able to mint new tokens, you will be able to transfer them, and you will most importantly be able to build on top of it. And this is something that I encourage on this show every time. Now is the time to start building on IOTA. Now is the time to really start educating yourself about the Chrysalis network, the upgrade, what it means, what it did. Nectar, our digital assets framework, smart contracts. Now is the time to inform yourself and to start building. And an amazing team from our community is already now starting to build an NFT marketplace. And they were holding a contest. I think like over a month, and it was really amazing just to see how what the community came up with. By the way, the quality is really terrible. It was amazing to see that the community already was so interested in doing NFTs, and all of the NFTs here are really great, and there was like a few dozen more, and this team here is already now building the NFT marketplace. I think it will work on the Nectar network at first, so we can do some early trial runs, and then hopefully it will naturally progress into IOTA. So yeah. So in summary, we are in a very strong position right now. We released Chrysalis. We removed all of the bad things of IOTA that were holding us back, that were being criticized, rightfully so, by people outside of our ecosystem. We successfully completed the upgrade of Chrysalis. We so far migrated more than, I think, nearly $2 billion worth of tokens, 860 Ti, right? 30% of all tokens have already been migrated. And that just shows you that Chrysalis has been a huge success in that regard. We successfully accomplished this. And right now we are in a very strong position to achieve the primary objective, which is to make IOTA production ready, to make IOTA the best possible layer 1, layer 0, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be the best base protocol to build these new applications on top. We have a very clear competitive advantage, which is to have no transaction fees, which is to be a DAG-based protocol. That means that there is no miners, there's no blocks, there's no chains. It really scales horizontally and is based on a leaderless protocol. That means that every node in a network is securing the network as well. And with the Chrysalis release right now completed, it's time to focus on the next big objective, which is to achieve courtside. We have the Nectar release coming out in a couple of weeks, which is going to include digital assets, and then the next big focus will be smart contracts. So I hope that all of you really understand just how big all of this is, and that we are doing 3 different projects simultaneously. And Chrysalis is complete now, and now we can move over to these bigger, really exciting targets. And I hope that makes all of you realize that we're in a very strong position right now, and I think this market will really start to appreciate this a lot more as well, as soon as we start to roll out some of these bigger and even much more tangible things. I think with something like this NFT marketplace, people can actually start to appreciate fee-less transactions more. We can start to reach out of our bubble and to invite others to participate in our ecosystem. And yeah. Maybe one last thing, Dell is hosting a very exciting session today. It's like a breakout session. It's being done by Steve Todd, who we are working with on Project Alvarium. He's talking about data confidence fabrics and about our work with them. I think it's recorded, so it's also going to be live. But this is definitely an important event because it's basically their primary tech event where our project with Dell is being presented. So that's nice to see. And there's been, I think, over a dozen messages, public communications of our partners and how they're working with IOTA. There's more to come. And all we can do is watch it all unfold. I think I made this, I've started using this interesting new profile picture, which just makes you realize that it's all about the journey. And instead of complaining, I think we should really start to appreciate the journey, because life is all about emotions, experiencing emotions, and it's about being part of something bigger than yourself. And I think everybody who is watching this agrees that IOTA is something much bigger than any of us can ever be, and it's like a global phenomena. And at this point, we just need to ensure that natural evolution for technologies is taking its cycle, and that we ensure the ultimate objective, which is to make sure that IOTA as a technology is going to be production ready, is going to be standardized, and is going to be adopted. And we are on a very exciting path. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. On Monday, we are doing AMA. Make sure to go on Reddit and ask if there are any questions. We are on Discord. Make sure to show the Tangle visualizer to your friends. I think it's a great way to explain what IOTA is and how amazing IOTA is. And without further ado, I hope all of you have a great weekend, upcoming weekend. And for everybody who is not yet building on IOTA, now is the time to start building. We're here to support you. We have an ecosystem development fund. In a couple of weeks, we're going to make an official IOTA vote on the decentralized IOTA community treasury. So with that, hopefully we can then also fund projects in our ecosystem on a complete new scale. So the future is bright. We're making IOTA production ready, and I hope all of you have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.